I'm Kurt with Infinity Cutting Tools. I want to talk with you about Infinity's patterns for tray making. This is a great way to make little gifts for both your spouses, your friends, family, anything. You have bowls and trays, you have great holiday designs such as the bat and the pumpkin, you have Christmas designs, all really simple to make. None of them are hard and they don't require very many tools. Basically you need a router, you need a template, you need a larger base plate, clear preferably so that you can see what you're working on. You need a couple of Forstner bits, and you need a bowl and tray bit. This is a simple little round over bit. You have a smaller one as well for getting into tighter current turns into like the bat. And you also need a collet extension. That's really all you need to make these. Really pretty simple process. I'm going to walk you through it as well as show you what's included in the Infinity's template kits. So let's start. What we're going to make today is our bat tray. To do this, we'll use our bat template, we'll use a large clear router plate, a long collet extension for the router. That allows us to get deeper into the tray than we'd normally be able to. We'll use a bowl and tray bit with a bearing. We're going to use a Forstner bit. I'll actually use two. I'll use a 3/4 inch and a 2 inch. And we're going to use the centering jig to center our plate onto our router. That's really about all there is to this. There'll be a few little assorted tools such as sandpaper, things like that. We're going to use a drill press to make this a little bit easier. And that's about it. So let me start walking you through what we do. Alright, let's go ahead and build this bat. Now, I started by milling up just enough wood to take care of my template. So what I kind of figured out is how far across this will be, giving myself about 3/8 of an inch of a wall around this. Pretty easy to do. Lay out your rough lumber, lay it on there, and kind of give yourself a little bit of extra room to cut off on your saws. Real easy, simple way. Then we want to make this about 2 inches thick, okay? That's about it for building these. It's really a simple procedure. I used scrap stock that I had laying around, a couple of strips of maple, a couple of strips of walnut. Milled them up square, glued them all together, planed it down to size, squared it up to size. Left my ends rough because my scraps weren't super long, and this here going diagonal is fairly long. Relatively easy. Now, to go ahead and get started on this, what you want to do is you take your block of wood, lay your template on it, giving yourself about 3/8 of an inch from the top and 3/8 of an inch from the bottom and the sides. You should easily have with the sides because of where you need to put your screw holes. Now, one of the things that I did was I laid myself a 3/8 inch line across the top and a 3/8 inch line across the bottom of my piece of wood. That way I knew for sure that I was going to make my room. Now if I align those with the tops of my wings here, we can pretty much see where we're going to be at. Now, the CNC machine template here already has screw holes in it. That makes life a lot easier, kind of helps you out with figuring out where you need to be. Alright, so what we'll do here, we'll draw and trace a little line that goes around this, and that'll give us the template to start using our Forstner bits to get a lot of this out. Basically, we're going to hog a lot of material out, and that way the router bit is not going to be doing quite as much. Alright, so now that we've had all of our Forstner bit fun, this is all basically hollowed out, you know, as close as we could get and as much of it as we could get. We're going to go ahead and start routing out. So I've got set up in the router the large clear base plate, the collet extension, and the bigger of the two bowl and tray kits, because I'm going to get out most of the big heavyweights with the big guy and just use the smaller one to get into the corners. So let me go ahead and clamp up, and then we'll start working on this and slowly routing it all out. Alright, so with routing out this template, we've got it all clamped in. You want to clamp it down as secure as possible because it's going to want to jerk a little bit as you hit some of these bigger knots of wood in here. I've got the bearing set so that I'm going to be riding mostly at this first pass, a very, very light pass. We want to set it to the lightest pass that we can achieve. And after that, then we'll start going down about a 1/4 inch per pass. This makes for a cleaner cut and a safer cut. So it's going to be a few passes to get out there, but it's going to make it for a nicer piece. So let's get started on it. Now, when we do this, we're going to want to go in a clockwise motion around the interior of this, and that's for safety. If you go this way, you're going to have it ripped out of your hands. It's going to go really fast. But by going this way, we get a nice cut, and it's going to be a safe cut. Okay, so we finished routing it out. Now, a couple little notes for you are, one, set your router to the slowest speed that you've got. You're gonna thank me for that one later. It does want to jump a little bit when you hit those little pieces of cut off wood that the Forstner bit left, the remnants from the Forstner. Take your time, 1/4 inch passes, can't reiterate that enough. Don't try to hog this out all at once. Not too bad though otherwise. A couple little high spots in the bottom, nothing major, and it's all sandable. You can kind of see it's pretty smooth. There's a few little areas where you can kind of feel a little bit of grooving and stuff, but that'll sand out pretty easily. Now it's time to cut the outside wall, which, you know, on this pattern. Multiple ways to do that. Well, multiple ways to lay it out. Really only one good way to cut it out. So you can use a compass to follow your path. You can use a little homemade shop jig, basically, you know, something with a rounded dowel or a curved interior piece that then has a little prong off of it with a pencil here, and draw it out. I made a series of dashes at 3/8, followed my dashes, and basically played connect the dots. For me, it's a little bit more organic feeling, so I like that. Now we're going to take it over to the bandsaw. And go to town. You want to use one of your smaller blades on the bandsaw, 1/2 inch, 3/4 way too big. You won't be able to get some of these tighter curves. I'm going to use 1/4 inch blade, what I've got on my saw. So let's go over there and let's cut some stuff out. All right, so we've got a 1/4 inch blade installed, and we're going to do our best to get as close as we can to these cut lines. Now, getting into these tight curves, it may help, you know, if I can't get that kind of turn, which with this one I don't think I can, to put a few relief cuts in. And that's one of the ways that you can kind of clear out a tight turn without having to do so much. So one of the first things that I'll probably do is put a few relief cuts straight on in, give myself a bit so that way when I make that turn, these little chips will fly out. Otherwise, it's a pretty easy little cutting pattern, and I'll just follow the line and get as close as I can. The closer you can get to your line and the smoother your cut can be without starting and stopping so much, the less sanding you're going to have to do, because every time you start and stop, you're going to get a little ridge, which is a much harder thing to sand out. Now that we've got this cut out, you know, I left the lines with the bandsaw. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sand it all down. Multiple different ways to sand it. If you got an oscillating spindle sander, it's going to make easy work for this, as well as a belt sander or anything like that for doing your longer curves. You can also just use sandpaper, especially if your lines aren't that big. Random orbit sanders, whatever you want to use, just work at it, get it so it's nice and smooth. Then we'll just do a 1/4 inch round over on the outside and the interior, and on the bottom, just to make, you know, get rid of that hard edge and that crisp little cut. All right, we'll see you when we're done. So the bat project is now done. Very, very spooky. Or it could be a Batman project if you've got a kid who loves Batman. So really pretty simple project, easily done in a weekend. Probably could even do it in a day, with the exception maybe of the glue up, which, you know, gotta let your glue dry and things like that. But really and truly, pretty simple project to complete. Use a food safe finish on this. Any of the FDA approved food safe finishes will be fine. Really and truly, you could get away with like a salad bowl finish as opposed to even like a cutting board finish, because you're not gonna be chopping on this. You don't really have to worry so much about the bacteria getting in. With the salad bowl finish, it puts a little bit more durable coat on it. So something like that would work really well on this. It really kind of will pop the color out a little bit, which is nice. Take your time sanding, you know, because you've got a lot of like tight curves and things like that in here. So spend the time getting into the corners and stuff like that to make sure it's a nice little finished gift for somebody. And that's really all there is. It's a nice little weekend project. Some points to remember are: go very, very slow when you're routing. Take your time, light passes, 1/4 inch at most per your depth. You're going to want to dump out the shavings pretty much between lowering your bits, because you just can't see, and the big base plate on top of this traps the shavings in, so you're kind of fighting the shavings. I found it to be a much easier go after I dumped the shavings between hand. So just take your time on it, you'll be good. It's a relatively easy little project, and have fun.